How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
Hey, wait a second. Where's our host? The Brenden. Oh, Brenden. Brenden's the host now, isn't he? Didn't Paul
Wow.
I haven't seen the Paul guy in a while.
Wow.
Oh,
Whatever, man.
You didn't quit on us. I thought you just joined the ATB fantasy show and quit. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Paul's back. Hooray.
Mike, I needed a break from doing all the work, sir.
Damn.
Well, you ain't lying. You still did all the work on the other shows. We just
That's
talked.
facts. Hey, without you, there is no show, Mike. Let's not forget that.
I think you guys can manage, but I do my best.
Yes, sir. Mike, where can we find you on Twitter, sir?
At cdpiglet, guys, nice and easy.
And of course, no show is complete without the best account manager in the world and the conductor of the Jake Ferguson hype train, Mr. Brenden Smith. Brenden, how are you?
I'm doing great. I had to rep my Leighton Mander's jersey for the last time in honor of the Wolf Hunter. And I'll have to retire this jersey and just wear my Fergie one all day, every day.
Hey, man, showing respect to LB. I'm not mad about that. Love the jersey. Brenden, where can we find you on Twitter, sir? Excuse me, X.
At Brenden_Smith 26.
I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. Well, the first week of free agency is in the books, and it was business as usual for the Cowboys front office. As the Cowboys always do, they've dominated the headlines, not so much for the moves they've made, but for the moves they haven't. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, but before we talk anything football related, we must discuss one thing and one thing only. Of course, I'm referring to my personal favorite segment, Meatless Monday. Mike, what was on the menu today?
I thought you were going to say, it looks like I don't dye my hair, I swear to God, but it looks like my hair, is it because I'm wearing a black shirt, or I don't know what it is.
Black.
It looks like I don't have gray hair right now, and I assure you I am fully a gray-haired person, so I don't know. I like it, though. I'm excited about it.
Shout out to the
Not so much. I apologize. I don't have an exciting Meatless Monday just because I don't know what I'm going to make. It's been very busy today. I've been going over Disney World stuff. I submitted an article today. I was going over some podcast stuff that we're going to discuss later on. So I had some French toast sticks for breakfast and a coffee, and I have no idea what I'm having for dinner yet. I don't know, unfortunately.
You know, Mike, it's kind of funny because, there for a while on Meatless Monday, you had Mondays like this. And then once you stopped working, you were able to get back into the kitchen, do the prep work, and have these really quality meals prepared and great breakfast and things like that. And then today, you're busy. It's the off season and you're just having French toast sticks. It's similar to what the Cowboys have done in free agency. It's like, yeah, we're busy. We're going to do something. Let's just have some French toast sticks.
Yeah, basically. And it's like Walmart brand, great value. It's the Red Baron of breakfast is basically what I'm doing.
So it's top tier is what you're saying. Top
exactly.
tier.
Yeah. Top. I mean, I'm thinking that you guys would think it's an elite breakfast. But for me, I'm like, damn, that's all I got right now. I can't make yesterday I had a mushroom asparagus omelet. That was really good. But today I got nothing.
Yeah. Before we get into the show, shout out to our viewers tonight, man. We've got 27 on the stream as of right now, so we appreciate everybody joining us. Let's go ahead and talk some football. Brenden, which one free agent realistically are you upset that Dallas didn't sign?
I wasn't expecting to sign him at all before I'm going to point this out here. I didn't expect anything, but when I saw Grover Stewart's contract, I'm like, that's so doable. It was 3 years, $39 million. Am I correct? Dude, what? Why? You sure up your defensive tackle position thoroughly, and you can still bring Hankins back on a super cheap deal, but Dallas sat on their hands, whatever.
Mike, how about you?
That and Shire made it was really fast when those contracts came out. That made me realize that Dallas is not trying to upgrade this year. They're not trying to improve the team this year. Those two they could have easily signed both those guys and made the defense much better, and they sat on their hands and didn't do anything because they didn't make moves beforehand to create cap space. My guy was Zach Moss.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, that seems like a legit, I love the way they're treating the running back position this year. I think it's finally they've smartened up and realized how to do it. But Zach Moss fits that analytical way of doing it. He was, I can't remember the top, he was one of the top analytical backs, like as far as like rushing above expected and stuff like that. And they got him for 2 years, $8 million. You still can draft somebody round 3 to 5 to pair with them for the next couple of years. So I loved that deal. I was bummed they didn't get it done.
Yeah, he was a guy, I've been doing the short form content, trying to do that 100 days of content challenge. And I talked about Zach Moss a couple of times. To see him get signed away for $4 million a year, that was definitely disappointing. I didn't understand why the Cowboys didn't match that or even trying to, up it a little bit. That would have been a good signing. I think he fits what the Cowboys would have been. And like you said, we could have easily drafted another guy to pair with him. That would have been a nice tandem to have there. Mike, did you want, speaking of running backs, did you want Dallas to sign Derrick Henry?
No, I may no back over $5 million. I mean, sign him if he's under $5 million, no problem. But what they're doing, as much as I hate what they're doing in the offseason, the one thing that they are nailing, that they figured out, is the running back position. You don't need to pay anybody. You can get even now, Dobbins, Foreman. There's another 5-6 free agents they could pay nothing for. Draft a guy rounds 3 to 5, and you're golden. Like that's the way. That's what tells me their analytics department is working. They're getting to Dallas and saying, "Hey, paying $10 million to Tony Pollard isn't necessary. Paying a bunch of money to Ezekiel Elliott isn't necessary." The rushing game isn't about the running back as much as it is the offensive line and the play caller. So don't pay a bunch of guys unnecessary money there.
What about you, Brenden? Are you team running back? And what were your thoughts on Derrick Henry?
Seeing how many viewers we have and all that, they're gonna learn that me and Mike think the same on a lot of things. They're gonna learn that if he was cheap, I wouldn't turn down a 3-year contract, $3 million contract. I wouldn't have turned that down. But they're all wanting multi-year deals. Dallas isn't signing anybody on a multi-year deal unless it's an extension on one of their guys. It's not going to happen. And besides, they're also paying Zeke still this year on his contract with dead cap money. So we have to work with that too. But they brought Rico. They brought Rico back.
Just pair him up
with how cheap it is. Yeah, bring him back, get a draft pick, and then use Lipke.
He's a good running back 3. Rico's a good running back 3. So
for sure,
I don't mind bringing him back.
I think he was more efficient than Pollard sometimes last year.
I don't know why, but I was kind of worried there for a little bit that, when you heard their rumors about them being connected to Derrick Henry, I thought maybe they might try to make a splash and go out and sign like a Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley. I'm glad we were never linked to those guys. But yeah, I'm definitely glad. I like the approach that we've taken to running backs this season for sure. I know Steven kind of made a comment about running backs last year in the offseason, and I'm glad we were seeing that come to fruition, if you will. Another signing here was Jordan Lewis being brought back on another team-friendly deal, 1 year, $2 million. Mike, does that close the door on a possible Stephon Gilmore return?
It shouldn't on a regular team, but it will for Dallas. Dallas has their 3 guys. They'll probably draft a guy. They drafted a guy last year. I don't see them spending the money to bring Gilmore back when they have 2 All-Pros on the outside and a very good fit for Zimmer in the nickel. Zimmer wants smart guys that can blitz, aren't afraid to play the run. J-Lou fits all that. They got their 3 starters. They'll go youth as backups. I think that's going to be a theme this year is seeing what their young guys could do. So, yeah, I think Gilmore is out.
Brenden, what about you? What were your thoughts on the J-Lou re-signing, and how do you feel about Stephon Gilmore possibly not returning?
With how cheap Jordan Lewis is and the play he was doing at the end of the season, I'm all for it. Because like I said on Twitter, I own up to my mistakes. I was dogging him all season, and he made me shut up, and he came back for another lucrative contract here, but he just was able to resign. He's a great nickel. I really hope it isn't pushing Stephon Gilmore away. It will, because they're like, we paid a corner, we're done. But if they can bring Stephon Gilmore back, they'll have Jordan Lewis as the number 4. They can play more dime packages with multiple DBs, which that's what they were doing anyway against the Packers. So it would work out. You have more depth. You feel safe, but it probably will push Stephon Gilmore away, and that's sad.
For what J. Lou made, I would take the crappy version of J. Lou that we want to get rid of. Like, he wasn't great, but he was decently playable, and that's about what he made on this contract. So, like, I wouldn't mind yelling at J. Lou and saying we want to get rid of him and having Brendan's bashing be J. Lou every week. For that contract, I can deal with that. That's not terrible.
Well, Brenden, you get to keep your pimento cheese sandwich, and maybe you can buy yourself a Jordan Lewis jersey now.
Oh boy, I don't know if I'm going to do that
one. So it was a pretty sad week last week. Of course, we saw one of the greater players leave in Tyron Smith. Micah, which one Dallas player were you hoping would re-sign other than Tyron Smith?
J. Lou. Jordan Lewis was my guy, so we got him. I think he fits Zimmer's role as a nickel guy. Zimmer doesn't care about the hype thing. That don't bother him at all. He wants smart guys that can play man coverage, that are physical enough in the run game, and that he can use on blitzes and stuff. So, I think he fits. That would have been my guy to bring back, would have been Lewis. So we got him happily.
Brenden, how about you? I'm
going to keep pushing this Stephon Gilmore just because you have Diggs coming back from injury. So we don't need a rush. Like, hey, you're guarding the number 1, and he's sloppy. And the entire Cowboy fan base turns on him. They will. They all will. He'll get beat once. They're like, wow, we paid this guy for nothing. And we don't know if Deron Bland's going to hit a wall because how dominant he was last year. So I don't want Dallas to run it back with almost any position. DB, though, I'm fine with it. Besides Curse, I don't want Curse.
He was my second. Gilmore was my number 2. Like, if I was bringing 2 guys back, it's J-Lo and Gilmore. That's who I would want.
I feel a lot more comfortable if I have those 4 because I don't want to have to draft someone higher this year. There's so many other needs. Yeah, there's so many other needs this team has. I want to draft. I don't want to think about DB.
Yeah, my guy was Dorrance Armstrong, man, just because we still don't know what we have in Sam Williams. Dorrance is a productive player, can play all 3 downs, good at run stopping, can get to the quarterback, especially with DeMarcus Lawrence being a year older. We're not sure if he's going to be on the team in 2025. And for him to sign for a 3-year deal for $30 million in Washington, he didn't really get paid as much as I thought he would, but I hated to see Dorrance go, man, because he was,
it's up to 45 though.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
His deal is $11 million a year up to $15 million a year. Man,
not for you.
I love him because he's a special teams guy. He's a cleanup sacks guy. Not very good versus the run, which obviously we want to fix. But I just can't see 11 to 15 a year for I couldn't do. But I love the player, and I'm glad he got paid. But I just. With the guys we're paying, you know me, I'm a Cap Smith guy, but I don't want to pay running backs. I wouldn't want to pay Biotish what he got, Pollard what he got. I mean, I couldn't pay DA. I just couldn't, not that much.
I thought Dorrance was one of the better run defenders on the defensive line. I guess I was wrong there.
Not last year.
Okay.
He was a guy that was a run defender, but the last 2 years under Quinn kind of lost that. I don't know why, but I still love I love him. I think he was worth every penny we paid him up until this contract. Right. And now this one that Washington paid him, I'm okay. I'm okay not paying him that much.
Never mad when the players get the bag, just as long as you're not paying it, right, Mike?
Agreed. I'm very happy he got paid. I think for what he did, he's been underpaid in Dallas. And now, he's a little overpaid in my opinion. But let's see what he does. Maybe he's a starter there and becomes a 10 sack guy.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. All right, Brendan, there's still some free agents available that I would like Dallas to sign. I can't speak for you, of course, but of the available free agents, who would you like Dallas to sign? Give us one on offense and give us one on defense.
Okay, well, my defensive guy I know for sure is a free agent. I haven't seen any news on Mitch Morse. Have y'all seen if he's signed anywhere, or do you think he's still?
Yeah, that's the center, right?
Yeah.
He went to oh man, I suck. I'm gonna look it up. He is signed, and I should know this. I'm pretty sure it's an AFC team.
I haven't seen any reports on him signing anywhere. So that was my offensive guy because I just want a center that's not Brock Hoffman. Honestly.
Jaguars.
He went to the Jags?
Yes, Jaguars. Sorry. I should have known that. I knew it was an AFC team, and I believe it was a 2-year deal.
Why have I not seen anything posted about that? I've been on Twitter every day. I don't know how okay, whatever.
Some of these signings are kind of going under the radar a lot, I've noticed.
A starting center?
Signings.
A starting center. I wanted him. Dang, that sucks. But my defense, this is just for fun. Maybe because he only won a 1-year deal and then cash out because the safety market's awful. Justin Simmons. Like, he's so talented, and he's out there still. Of course, y'all know my best friend's a Broncos fan. And so every time I watch, he's making plays. Dude, if you can have that to pair with Malik Hooker and Wanye Thomas and Donovan Wilson, throw as many DBs as you want there. I don't care. I'm happy.
I would cut one of our starters to get Justin Simmons. I mean, I wish.
1 year, $8 million. Who says no? Dallas does, but
Justin Simmons probably says no.
Why? Yeah. Just the safety market's awful unless you're super young. Just come to Dallas, show out because you're gonna be on national television.
I would do that,
and then cash out next year.
I would do that. I don't think he would, but I would do that. I definitely would.
Mike, how about you? Who are your guys?
Mekhi Becton, another Tyron type, but younger. You'd have to worry about him being injured, but if he plays, he could be one of the best left tackles. He honestly, if he ended the year playing really, really well, I'm surprised he wasn't signed yet. But if you can get him on something incentive laden, I would even do it for 2 years, even if it was a high number. If it's incentive laden, I would do Tyron's contract for 2 years. The Tyron contract from last year, I would do that on a 2-year deal if I could for Becton. I think he could be your starting left tackle easily, and you wouldn't have to worry about even drafting if you didn't want to, if you got a multi-year. The worry is you'd have to get a decent flex guy just in case. Defensively, I would say Tier Tart. My theme is going to be defensive tackle. I think the only way you can be a better team next year is if you improve that position. And he's one of the guys that maybe because he's younger is an improvement over Hankins, but that's a maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Mekhi Becton. He sounds like a Cowboys special young guy with upside injury guy. That's right in the Cowboys' wheelhouse there. For me, it's on offense. I'm going to go with Michael Thomas. I know he's a little bit older, but man, in 2019, his last full healthy season, 185 targets, 149 receptions, 1,700 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns. I mean, I know the guy hasn't played a full season in a long time, but the contract he could probably get him at and what he would do to the offense paired with Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb, I mean, that would just be absolutely filthy, especially if he can stay healthy. And then on defense, man, I went with y'all's guy, Stephon Gilmore. I know that it's probably unlikely that he gets brought back, but I was surprised that the market for him isn't really as high as I anticipated. I mean, I thought somebody might offer him like $5 or $6 million, but he's still available. Who knows, man? It would be awesome for the Cowboys to bring him back, but I love to see at least our DBs running back, like you kind of mentioned earlier, Brenden.
I love Michael Thomas and McCarthy's system too.
You mean slant boy? You mean slant boy?
Slant God.
Slant boy.
That he was known as Slant God for a reason for a while, and at his cost, I would love. I really believe that the only way. It seems like the only way Dallas is going to be a factor, a real factor, like a playoff factor, is if they overload the offense. Like their first 2 picks are center, offensive tackle center, and they sign a receiver that could be a real upgrade to maybe even Cooks. like where Cooks is borderline the third guy, that type of deal.
Well, number 13 is open for the Cowboys now.
True.
Yeah. All right, Mike. So as of today, are the Cowboys worse than they were last season?
Oh, for sure. Like the only position you could even say maybe they'll be better is linebacker, because Kendricks is probably a little bit of an upgrade from LVE, especially in Zimmer's system. And they have Overshown coming back, and he was gone early last year. And maybe Clark's a year better developed. So other than that, their O-line is worse. Their running back room is worse. Their wide receiver room is even, maybe. Defensive line worse by a lot.
Even if we brought back Hankins?
Oh, yeah. Dorrance Armstrong.
Dante
Fowler. Neville Gallimore is all depth that they lost. And we're talking right now, not like, hey, they draft guys and everything like that. We're talking right now. They don't have the rotation. So now you're asking DeMarcus Lawrence to play more snaps. And one of the reasons he was so great is he became, like a elite middle reliever, instead of being a starter. He was able to rotate with Armstrong, Williams, Fowler, where he wasn't dead, snaps. He didn't get injured. He was able to play, at a higher level. They're not, I don't even see them as, they're like, hey, we'll battle for the playoffs. Where last year I was like, they're outside contenders, real contender. They're not, this team's not a real contender. Let's be real about it. They're just not right now. They don't have the horses.
I got you. Brenden, do you have anything to add to that?
Mike hit it on the nose. Dallas is like, we're going to be better this next season. It doesn't bring anybody back. I don't understand what's going on. They're so content with being mediocre as long as they make the playoffs.
It feels like they're playing with mad money. They're mad that Dak's got them by the balls, and if they want to sign him, they're gonna have to. They want to do something between the Kirk Cousins deal and the say Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson deal. They want to do something in that. They don't want to go above that, and to get an all-pro quarterback, regardless of what happened in the playoffs. He played like an all-pro. He's a second league MVP. You got to pay him, top market dollar, especially when they have zero leverage. They got nothing. They got zero. Trey Lance is not leverage. They got nothing. So you either pay him or he walks next year. And I'm starting to think that the way Dallas team builds, they may not be able to win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. That's not a shot at Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a Super Bowl winning, capable quarterback on a team that tries to do all the things that you need to do to win. The San Francisco 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, the Eagles, the Detroit Lions. If he was the quarterback of one of those type of teams, he could win a Super Bowl. The way Dallas builds a team, they're going to need a more man, how do I put it? Because I like Dak Prescott more than I like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, because I like his style of play more than I like how they play. But for a team, the way Dallas team builds, they need a Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, and Allen, one where the quarterback could just completely, carry if they're hot. That's not the way Dak rolls. Dak plays great in a system. He's a plus Brock Purdy. He's a plus Kirk Cousins. He's a quarterback that maybe at his best could be a Burrow, like at his elite best could be a Burrow. But I believe Burrow at his best could carry a team and win a Super Bowl. And I just don't believe Dallas team building. What they need is a rookie quarterback. They needed to hit a little bit more while Dak was on his rookie deal. And instead, they went with the year that they did Deontay Thompson, Michael Gallup, that type of bullshit. That should have been the year that they got in Amari Cooper earlier and then traded for another guy. And then they could have won. But I'm starting to think the way they want a team build, Dak should move on. It'll be better for them. And it could end up being better if Dallas is able to hit a quarterback. It could end up being better for them to do it that way. I don't want to do that. I want them to actually try with a all-pro quarterback, try to team build. They don't seem to want to do that. And Dak's not Mahomes. I love him, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not, that type of guy that maybe you can win with. I don't like Lamar Jackson. So people sitting there going, oh, Lamar. I'm saying a guy that does something that well, like he runs. And if you hit enough, he maybe can win with you. I don't like Josh Allen. I don't think Josh Allen's as good as Dak Prescott, period. I'll just throw that out there. But his arm talent and the way he plays like Lone Ranger and gives the game away, if he ever got hot and went crazy, he might, the way he did in the game against Kansas City where they almost won. If he ever got like that, then maybe a quarterback like that, Dallas team building could work with. But with Dak, he's a guy that you build a great team around, he wins you the Super Bowl. I just don't think Dallas will do that. They won't go all in to do that.
I hear you, man. I hate how accurate that is, but yeah, I kind of feel the same way you do.
I hate having to say it because I believe like people are going to take it and run with it as like, I don't like Dak or I don't think Dak could win. This is more about our front office than Dak. Dak could win on I'd say 10, 15 teams right now would give you a chance to win a Super Bowl. We just don't build like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So back to the Cowboys free agency, the bigger signings, I think it's safe to say, are Eric Kendricks, bringing him in and then re-signing Jordan Lewis. Brenden, are those quality moves in your eyes?
They're cheap, so yeah. You had a better veteran presence at linebacker who knows the scheme, who's be able to teach the young guys, and he's just a better run stuffer than we've had since 2018 when Leighton was his peak rookie self and Jalen. So there's that, and then Jordan Lewis makes it where you can run with your three corners if you have to and not add anybody, and you have your starting three corners. I would like an upgrade, but you can run in there if you need to, and you have three competent corners that can play in your defense.
Mike, how about you? What are your thoughts on those picks?
Yeah, they're quality as far as they fit Zim's system. They're solid starters. And they work for what your defensive coordinator wants to do. So you got a starting middle linebacker and a starting slot corner, and they're good enough players. They don't hurt you, and they fit your defensive coordinator's scheme. So I'd say they're quality signings.
So, Mike, I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but defensive tackle and running back are positions I know you still feel need to be adjusted before the draft, but is there any other position you'd like to see Cowboys address?
Yeah, this question got me an idea for an article, and I did it. Hey, there he is. What's up, Frankie?
Frankie.
This question got me an idea for an article, and I ran through it today and sent it in, submitted it. And it basically, I took Dallas's what they like to be before the draft, and I broke down. I went through the positions that Dallas will need to sign another free agent on. And running back, O-line, DT, and special teams linebacker were the 4 spots. So I think they need those 4 to be addressed. A running back that can start, an offensive lineman that can rotate, that can either, if you get a left tackle, Richards plays guard, or if you get a guard, Richards is your left tackle, Walesko is your right tackle. And then a starting defensive tackle, probably 2 of them. A starter and a backup, and then a linebacker for Fossil. He needs a special teams linebacker. So that would be my 4 spots before the draft.
Brenden, what about you? Any other positions you'd like to see Dallas address before the draft?
I know I just said that you can run with your 3 corners and you're fine. You have no depth. You have Eric Scott and Deshaun Wright. I want to throw up. If any one of them have to be on the field, I'm just like, okay, cool. Where's the 30-yard deep ball coming in from? It's got to be corner, and I agree with Mike, running back, because Rico was fun. Rico does well in the screen game, but you have Deuce, you have Lipke. If that's your starting 3, then it's gonna be game over. So it's not even need to be a starter. Yeah. Like this is gonna be a committee. This is damn.
My chair controller is telling me it updated. Sorry.
Nice. No, but this is gonna be a running back by committee. You're still gonna draft someone, but just another person that can give the ball to. I would love a Foreman just to get a little bigger guy in there. But other than that, I hope most of it will be through the draft with the younger players.
My argument
for my guy McQuamu, I see.
That was I was just about to say. My argument
is he safety or corner? Is he a safety or is he a corner? Because I don't know what he's gonna do now with Dan Quinn being gone, since he always loved Izzy being big. So I have no idea what they want.
If
he
they don't
safety, he can be corner, he can be linebacker.
Corner. I think he's a corner. If they don't bring another guy in, I think he's your 4th corner.
I guess I can get with it.
He played well in one playoff game.
He destroyed Tom Brady.
Will Donovan Wilson be the new J-Ron Curse in this defense, Mike?
There won't be a real J-Ron Curse in this defense. So he won't play a hybrid like that. What he'll do is he'll play a base nickel, and then their safety, Donovan Wilson, will move into the box. And then you won't know if he's blitzing, playing the run, anything like that. Zimmer is great at throwing 2 linebackers in the A gap, and when you think that's coming, he sends J. Lou or Donovan Wilson from opposite sides.
And Zimmer's system are safeties maybe a strength of this team.
Yeah, in his system, yes, because Wanye Thomas and Bell both fit as safeties that can play in the box.
Yeah.
And either blitz, play the run well, or are decent at covering. Matter of fact, I think no, I won't say that because Donovan Wilson's such an elite in the box playmaker. But as far as box coverage safeties, I think Wanye and Bell play them better. I would honestly not be surprised if one of our safeties gets traded because he doesn't really play 3 safeties and they have 4 guys that can play right now. Donovan Wilson, Marquise Bell, Malik Hooker, and Wanye Thomas can all provide snaps, and they're not going to play like they did. They're not going to be linebackers. That's not what he does. That's not what Zimmer does, because he's not going to leave the running game to smaller players. That's not how he rolls.
Brenden, if you had to trade away one of our safeties, who would it be and why?
Trade away?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Are we counting Marquise Bell as a safety or a linebacker technically right now?
Safety, right?
He's not going to be a linebacker in Zimmer's system. He's too small.
I guess also thinking contract wise, and I guess it would be Malik Hooker, honestly. I know he's the deep safety and all, and he made some great plays. But Wanye's good in the box, but they also tried pushing him deep a couple times, which I don't think he did bad. And then Marquise Bell can cover anywhere, even though he's a little bit bigger of a guy. Just Malik Hooker, just because he just doesn't make as much moves.
Yeah.
As the others.
Mike, how about you?
Bell. I think because a team would take him as a hybrid linebacker. Some teams, maybe a Commanders or a team that plays that style, that wants to emulate that style. But he's also a solid in-box regular safety. So I think he's more valuable. But I don't think he's better than Donovan Wilson or Hooker at their position. So I think you could get a decent pick for him, and still be okay, because your rotational guy that comes in if somebody was hurt, Wanye Thomas, could play both spots. I don't think he'd be as good as Donovan Wilson, but he could play it.
I was going cheaper and younger That's the reason why I chose Hooker.
Yeah, I think Hooker could get you a better haul than Bell, but I think you'd be worse on the field, which may be the idea this year. That go young, let Hooker go, get a better draft pick, and stick with your youth. See what Bell
What would Hooker
do.
What do you think Hooker would net in a trade? Like a 3rd-round pick, or what are we talking here?
5th,
4th?
I'm thinking an early day 3.
Okay.
He's 1 year too, so he's like a rental. Somebody,
Right.
I don't think you can get as high as a 3, but I think you can get a decent 4th.
Would you take like a 4th and a 6th-round pick for him?
Tell me, I got to know what they're doing, if their strategy is what I believe it to be, then yes, I would do that. I would take a 4th and a 6th one.
All right. So speaking of strategy, Mike, if we do adjust the needs that you mentioned, should Dallas take a best player available approach in the draft?
They should do that anyway.
Yeah, that's what I think too. But
I mean,
just for conversation's sake,
they should regardless. But I don't think they. I don't know. I have a. Let me see. Let me look forward in this.
Instead of answering that question, let me just ask you the next question, because I mean that's kind of what I was going to ask anyway. Should Dallas take a best player available approach in the draft, regardless of what they do? You know, the rest of free agency.
I think they should, because I think best player available fits. I believe in the draft they need to be looking for a wide receiver that can replace Cooks going forward. That's a cheap, because you're about to pay Lamb. I think that a corner to replace Jordan Lewis and a linebacker to replace Kendricks should be more the lean, because I just don't think they going and getting offensive line to make sure your offensive line is set makes sense for now and forward. But I think I think what people are thinking is get a tackle, get a running back, get a guys to fit to make the team better this year. But I just don't think they're contenders this year. So I'm trying to we're going to talk about it in another question later on when we're talking about rebuild. But I think that the team needs to find out what it has in their youth this year. And I think playing geared towards that allows you to draft not to fill starters this year, but to build the team going forward 2025, 2026, to build around your core of Dak, Lamb, Parsons, Tyler Smith, that type of thing.
So, Brenden, this is your first off season with us, on the show and everything. What is your draft approach? Are you a best player available guy, or do you think that Dallas should address needs?
It all depends on how the board falls. I am the person, I really want an offensive lineman in round 1. I do. This whole line, if nothing changes, scares the hell out of me. We've already seen Dak with injuries before, and I don't want to say it again, even though there's some awful people out there and stuff. Terrence Steele is already kind of a liability. He played a little bit better, but he's still a liability when it comes to speed. Zach Martin's a Hall of Famer. I don't worry about him, even though he's getting up there in age. Brock Hoffman, I love that he's feisty. I do, but that's all I see in him. Tyler Smith, are you going to move him to left tackle, left guard? What are you going to do there? And you have TJ Bass. I don't feel comfortable with that offensive line at all. They're going to want to run the ball more, and they won't be able to. So I guess this year, I'm always the best player available. I freaked out when CeeDee Lamb fell. I was screaming, running around, yelling F yeah. Just I was pumped.
Yeah.
And we didn't, and technically we didn't need him. It was all beneficial now, but we technically didn't even need him. And it worked out.
Well, let me ask you, your highest lineman that you want for Dallas would be who?
It's got to be Jackson Powers Johnson. I love him at center.
Okay, so Jackson Powers Johnson's available at 24, but Rome Odunze, your draft falls.
Oh no, you take it Roma Dunze.
Okay.
That the talent there, you just can't.
Okay.
Or you try to trade back and expect a haul for somebody trying to get him. But no, if Dunze falls like my mock draft somehow on Twitter,
just making sure.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
Oh no, you throw that pick in without even thinking.
In that scenario, I swear I'd trade back, man.
It all depends on the haul. But if it's the Chiefs, you say hell no. You close the phone and you just take them.
I'm just taking Roma Dunze. You get a guy like that to fall, like a top 8 talent, top 10 for sure, and you get him at 24 somehow.
Dude, I was so caught off guard in class when I did that mock draft.
You think he'd be a better fit than Troy Franklin?
He's just a way better player. Like, he's on another level. Troy Franklin's a second round guy. Roma Dunze is like a top 10 guy. The problem is Troy Franklin can, if you can't press him and he can go vertical on you, he's very dangerous. But if you get your hands on him, he's just not that guy. Where Roma Dunze, no matter what you try to do, he's CeeDee Lamb like. He's monstrous. He's game changing.
Yeah. So I think we've talked enough about the positions that kind of worry us. Unless y'all want to add anything to that question, do you have anything to add to that, guys?
No.
All right. Well, here we are with our mock draft. It was our first mock draft of the season, at least for on the show. Mike's going to grade and analyze 2 mock drafts, one by me, one by Brenden. He's going to grade them, analyze them, and then try to figure out whose draft is whose.
I sent you 3. I'm terrified of which one you chose.
I promise you. I mean, I don't think I chose the bad one. I can promise you that.
Okay.
But I'll let you decide whenever Mike goes over it. So, Mike, I'll ask you this: when you first saw the draft, did you have an idea of whose was whose?
I thought that the Jackson Powers Johnson draft was the reason that I thought the Jackson Powers Johnson draft was yours, Paul, was because it included what they got in the trade back, which you doing it, you would be like, you would add in what you got, where the other trade didn't have the trade back values, which seems like one that would be sent in, like, hey, I traded back and here's the picks I got, but it doesn't give the value of what they got in the draft. So that's why I went the way I did. I just can't see Brenden picking 3 guys from Michigan. I couldn't see it. I was like,
right.
I can't see that. So my thought was, I don't think Paul would scout the helmet as much as Brenden would.
I got you.
Hey, okay, I took Junior Colson in one of them.
Don't give it away yet, man. You don't even know which one I sent in yet.
Oh, shit.
So, were either of these realistic NFL drafts, Mike?
Let me look through. I think it's a long shot that Cooper gets to 56 or Colston gets to 87. But they weren't like a Dunze, drops to 24.
Yeah.
They weren't.
That's what the simulator gave me on Twitter, man.
I think Jackson Powers Johnson getting to 31 is a no chance.
Yeah.
But you never know. He's a center, so I'm not going to the way I looked at it, I was like, if it's not Jackson Powers Johnson, it's Barton. One of the 2 top centers will be there. So that's the way I judged that. So they're unlikely, but not. We remember how many times did we see CeeDee Lamb and said, nope, get rid of that one. CeeDee Lamb's definitely not dropping. So we literally did that in ours. We did our first thing ever was a fantasy thing. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say CeeDee Lamb. I know that's a fantasy, but we're trying to do realistic fantasy. And he did fall to us. So anything's possible.
True. Are either of these realistic Cowboys drafts?
I don't think Dallas is taking Chris Jenkins. after if you want me to evaluate, the players, Chris Jenkins is another guy that's kind of slow off the ball. And I don't think they want him with Mozzie, who's slow off the ball. So I don't think he would be a guy. Now, if it was the Texas kid Sweat at 64, I could be talked into that, especially if they don't bring back Hankins. They need him. I think the other picks they would love, Powers, Johnson, Colson, and Corum. I think they'd love them. The other draft, Josh Newton is not a Zimmer guy. Now, he could be a Fossil pick. I think John Fossil would love him. He looks like a special teams ace. But Zimmer does not even respect cover two corners. Even though he's a press cover two, Zimmer's a press man guy. He does not. He thinks cover two corner is like a bullshit thing. He basically will tell you, like, all you got to do is hit a guy and then stand over there. Like, what am I going to do with that? Like, he doesn't believe in, if that's your talent, then he could take a man press guy and teach him how to play cover two corner. That's how he sees it. So, but I believe that Dallas would cry for Barton at 33, Edgerrin at 56, and Brooks at 65. And Brooks fits them, an injury guy in the second round, completely.
Exactly.
Early third. I don't know, 65. That's second round, right? Isn't it?
I think I think it's just into the third.
Okay, so top of the third.
Yeah, because 32 teams, so that'll be 64. That'll be the first pick in the third round.
What about comp pick? Oh, there's no comp pick in the second. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
What was your favorite pick between these two drafts?
Well, I mean, if you can get Jackson Powers Johnson at 31, that's incredible. And I love Junior Colston at 87. Actually, to be honest, me personally, I have Barton graded ahead of Jackson Powers Johnson, as much as I like Jackson Powers Johnson because he's a straight center. As an offensive lineman, I have Barton higher. So I love that. And Cooper at 56, while my problem with Cooper is he could be elite if you're drafting for the future, but I don't think he's not a very smart linebacker yet. He's not instinctive. He gets caught in the wrong gap a lot. I believe the problem with Cooper is he's what we have, but with the possibility to be at an elite level, whereas Junior Colston is the exact opposite. He's not the athletic freak show cover 3-down linebacker like Cooper is. Like Edgerrin Cooper is like, oh my God, the minute he gets it, he's a absolute freak show. Where Junior Colston is like, we may not get much better than this. He may not even be a 3-down guy, but you want to talk about a guy that'll fill a hole, take on a block, and bring a guy down, which is what we're missing. That's him, but you're missing the chance to have a freak show in Cooper once it clicks. If he ever gets a coach that gets him to go, oh, I see, absolute like first round freak show of a guy. Like in 3 years, he's a guy that you could be like, how is he not drafted in the top 15? Where Colston's always going to be a guy that's like, no, it's good into the first round, second round player. He fits in there. If you can get him late in the second round, what a steal. He does what you need, but he's never going to be a freak show athlete that covers, slot receivers and is ridiculous and can blitz and do everything type of guy. So, it's a tough call between the two. And the thing about the mock draft is I'm not going to say like who I'm talking to somebody right now that makes me believe that center is more of a third round position for Dallas right now. I believe that. Yeah. I don't think they want a center in the first round. And they love Barton and Johnson, not that they won't draft them, but their ideal thing would be for like Mims, the giant right tackle that could play left tackle, to be there, or for a wide receiver or edge rusher to fall, and they get them, and then they can pick up their center in the third round, because they kind of know, like, honestly, they have a left tackle, left guard. Bass is a quality starting left guard, and Tyler Smith can go out and not be an all-pro, but be a quality left tackle. So if they can get a great left tackle to pair with Tyler, great. Or if they can get their center, Van Pran, Limmer, Bordolini from Wisconsin later and be powerful at center, that they would be good, and they could get edge rusher, wide receiver early, at 24. But I think if their ideal draft would be Mims at 24 or trade back for Guyton or center at that point.
Guyton's a right tackle.
Yeah, but I think he would play. They would develop him, and they wouldn't feel so bad because they'd be trading back. But I think there's a good chance that they go wide receiver edge as well. Like if it comes down and Mims is gone, that they might go wide receiver edge in a trade back as easy as they would picking a center. So just be prepared for that. They believe they can get a starting center in the third round.
I prefer them to go edge or wide receiver in the first round.
I didn't see anyone that
or
fell
defensive tackle.
truly.
Well, Mims, I think, would be their ideal guy, but Brian Thomas Jr. is a guy that could fall. But what I'm saying is if they traded back, don't be surprised if they trade back late first, early second round and get a receiver like a Worthy, a Leggett there, or a Darius Robinson, a Chop Robinson, somebody like that could be the pick as easy as it could be center Barton or Jackson Powers Johnson. And then we traded back to the beginning of the second round and everybody went and we ended up getting Guyton. That's like their last resort guy.
I would not be mad at that at all. I'd love to see them be active in the draft, trading back, acquiring more picks and just adding more darts. You know what I mean? I'd love to see that.
I'll say this. If Mims goes, I would not be shocked at all if they trade back in the first round and they trade back from 56, because 56 is very possibly a third round center or a running back they have graded as a third round running back, but they don't think we'll get to them at 87. So they move back from 56 to somewhere 65 to 70. And then they take Bo Limmer, Van Pran, Jonathan Cooper, Benson, the other running back, Trey Benson, I think it is.
Benson,
Don't be surprised if they trade back from second round and take a center or running back later in that round.
I'd love to see them grab like a center and then Braylon Allen in the third round,
It wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't hate it. But I mean, you want to go me, I'm looking trade back to the end of the first and take Barton, and then trade back in the second and use the trade back and the extra third you got in the trade and go pick up your running back with one of them to where you don't feel bad, but you still get your top running back before everybody else gets a run on them.
Mm-hmm. Or man, what if they grab Devondre Sweat in the second round,
Oh God, don't get my heart excited like that. Mozzie and Devondre Sweat, Jesus.
Ooh, Lord. Which one is your preferred draft of the two, Mike?
I don't like Chris Jenkins, so I would say mock draft 2. But if Chris Jenkins was just a different DT like a Sweat, I love the idea of getting our middle linebacker, our starting center. I think Blake Corum's not a second contract running back, which I love. I think he's a good compliment back that you play him 4 years and then let him go and bring somebody else in. But because I don't like the Jenkins pick, I'll go mock draft 2.
What's mock draft number 2?
That is Barton, Cooper, Brooks, Newton. Graham Barton, offensive lineman, Duke. Edrin Cooper, linebacker, Texas A&M. Jonathan Brooks, running back, Texas. And Josh Newton, cornerback, TCU. And I'm going to guess that is Brendan's draft.
That is Brendan's draft, sir.
And the main reason obviously the draft capital, because the first draft you get an extra 1 and an extra 2 in 2025, which is amazing. But I didn't know what the capital was for the other draft, and he had a trade back as well. But I knew that it was not picking 3 Michigan players. I knew it. I know.
I would throw up.
Yeah, I know he's not going to do it. So I knew that was Paul.
Also, I took Newton because I'm a TCU fan, and he is the only good defender TCU had. So I kind of just rode with it.
I love Josh Newton. I love him. I think he'd be a great slot player, even with Zim, who's a cover 2. Because he's good in press, I believe he can transition to a slot press man guy that plays the run. But I guarantee you, like Deron Bland, when he was drafted, I said he'll be a special teams ace for us. He was a special teams ace at Fresno State. Same thing with Newton. And when you're picking a guy at 95, if you get a contributor at cornerback that is an ace on special teams, I don't hate that pick.
The first 2 picks, I thought like those are the people I wanted, and then I went Brooks because it's gonna happen. It's going to happen.
Cowboys.
Like that's like the most Cowboy thing I've ever seen. People keep talking about. I'm like, it's going to happen. That's gonna be our number 2 running back.
If he's back, if he gets back fully from his injury, he's the best running back in the draft. Yeah. It's scary to draft another injured running back, and you haven't done anything in free agency to where you're like, if he's not ready, if he's not playing right until next year, what are you doing at running back? That's what worries me.
For sure. Well, Chris Jenkins, I was met my demise by drafting Chris Jenkins. I like what I read on his profile, but I don't know. I don't know much about this draft class.
Michigan doesn't. Their defensive tackles do not get off the ball fast. It's not something they are a wait and grab and hold type. Yeah. And I love his pedigree. Chris Jenkins has the pedigree. His dad was a football player. He has the motor to develop out of that, but it's another D tackle that's probably going to need a year or 2 to develop. And
right.
We have that. We don't know if Mozzie's going to be anything. So I don't want to use another top 70 pick on a DT that we don't know if we're going to get anything out of him the first year or 2.
Hey, all I'm going to say is
very fair.
In the group chat, I said I haven't seen Paul's mocks, but I know mine was better. And look at that. I'm 1-0, baby. I'm 1-0.
Your mock is it. If Jenkins was just another DT, because getting that first from a first from
San
Tampa
Francisco.
and a second from
first from Tampa and second from San Francisco or Commanders, I think it was first from.
It was San Francisco, and that is an elite haul. But I know that you probably got
It wouldn't show on the recap, so I was like, grab him. Just sending screenshots to Paul.
But I love getting 2 starters out of pick 87 and 95 in a draft. And I think Jackson Powers Johnson is a day 1 beast center. If the pick is Sweat, Paul gets it. But
a win is a win. I don't care. A win is a win.
Hey, I ain't hating, baby. Kudos to you, Brenden. That's going to be your first and your last victory on the show. I promise you that.
Hey, but out of the 3, I think you chose that one. So he kept going off name. Like, is that the one he chose? What the hell?
He picked a good
one.
Well,
that was the one I chose because it also included a trade, and mine had a trade. So I'm like, I felt it kind of leveled the playing field a bit. Both of them having trades.
But hey, I wouldn't be mad with either.
Yeah.
No, me neither.
All right, here we are with Mike's views from the sidelines. We'll kind of not necessarily run through this, but we are approaching the hour mark already. And
I'll go fast.
Really fun top 5 in my opinion. So number 1, Mike, on your view from the sidelines, share your thoughts on the Eric Kendricks deal and what he brings to the defense.
So he's a solid linebacker, nothing more. Maybe a little bit better than Van Der Esch, but he knows the system and he can teach it to the players. So that was a good signing, especially for that reason.
Yeah. You think Dallas could be headed into a mini rebuild in 2024? Can you elaborate on why?
Yes, and the reason is I think that there is a chance that their offensive line next season is Smith, Bass, Hoffman, Martin, Steele, and they just say, we're going to see what we got out of these guys. Mozzie starts at one technique. Overshone and Clark are the linebackers, and they just go with the youth. Tolbert is wide receiver 3, and they just go with the youth movement, depending on what comes up in the draft. Like if they get a wide receiver, then Tolbert's not, wide receiver 3. If they get a left tackle, okay, then Hoffman or Bass play center, and you go from there. But I have a feeling that this might be a youth movement year, so they don't have to pay a new coach, and they could just see what they have, a developmental year for McCarthy.
Man, I really don't hate that. If it is a mini rebuild year, and Dak takes this team to the playoffs, and what this team could possibly be, that would probably be his best season of his career, I would think.
I agree.
If this team is as bad as some people think. All right, number 3. Have you heard any rumors about the Cowboys, what the Cowboys will do next in free agency? Any rookie players they're linked to? If so, can you share?
Okay, so I told you about the center 3rd round thing. Van Prant, Bortolini, Leonard. Mims is, I believe, who they like at 24 if they're going offensive line. And in a trade back scenario, they would go Guyton as last resort, and also a trade back from 56 for a running back or a center.
And who are your sources, Mike?
I don't have it. I'm totally guessing, I swear.
No, I'm
totally
just giving
guessing.
you a hard time.
I have no sources that I am going to say over the air.
I hear you. No worries. All right, here we are with Brendan's bashing, the free agency edition. Brenden, who are you bashing tonight?
Cowboys front office. Easy, never the easiest choice I think I've ever had. You talk about we love our guys. We want them to play for the Dallas. You let Tyron Smith just walk. I'm fine with Pollard. I'm tired with Biotis leaving. I don't care about them. That's whatever. But you lose core depth pieces. You don't make any moves. You have to get your defensive coordinator to basically beg his former player to come and play for y'all. And that's the only thing y'all done. And y'all signed your longtime. I think he's funny. I love the post he made on Twitter. But you haven't done anything. Y'all sat in your ass while watching the other teams get better. It's stupid.
And if you're a draft, develop, and pay your guys, then I totally agree that I'm okay letting Biotis, Pollard, Dorrance Armstrong, all that. But those were 4th round guys that became starters, and you did nothing to replenish it. I'm okay letting them go. But if you're going to say you're a draft and sign our guys, then the minute you let starters like that go, you got to bring guys in that replace those guys, and they didn't.
Also not restructuring or extending anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, over, under. The Cowboys signed 2 more players before the draft, Mike.
Over. They'll sign probably 4 or 5. It just won't be impactful players.
Okay, how about you, Brenden?
Oh, it'll be over. It'll be vet minimum. It might be another running back. I bet we'll probably see that. But $3 million, maybe that'll probably be the most they spend on a player before the draft.
If we brought in Deontay Foreman, Michael Thomas, and Jonathan Hankins before the draft, how would you feel, Mike?
I'd feel about the same. I'd feel that I don't think they would be true contenders.
Add Mekhi Becton to that group.
I like it more, but I just don't think the defense will be good enough to contend. I think if they went over crazy in the draft on offense, like they had Becton, they got Mike Thomas, and they got a in the first round they went wide receiver, somebody like Brian Thomas fell. And then in the second round, they went center and upgraded there. And then in the third round, they got Benson or Bucky Irvin at running back. Then I can go, well, maybe they'll just score enough to where the defense won't matter. But I think in the playoffs, I just don't think they have the horses to stop Niners, probably Philly, Detroit. They're just going to be too high up. Philly's division, but it would be difficult.
If a defensive back fell, like, not a Kool-Aid McKinstry, obviously, but, just a quality cornerback, could you see them taking one maybe in the second round?
If Kool-Aid dropped in the first, man, that'd be hard to, because I'm trying to replenish the 1-year guys next year. That's my idea is to replace Tank, Cooks, and J-Lu. I want to keep my strengths a strength, and then hopefully these young guys develop. But I don't have a young guy to develop at middle linebacker. We just don't have one right now. I don't have a young guy to develop at slot corner. We don't have it. And I don't have a young guy to develop behind Cooks that I believe could be even if Tolbert took a little bit of a leap, he's already year 3. So he only got one more year with him. You want to reload. So, yeah, I would look at corner even at 24 if a Kool-Aid dropped.
Okay. Use one word to describe how you felt when the Tyron to the Jets deal was announced, Brenden.
Depressed. It's like of course we see him. He got back to his kind of former self later on in the year, but just like he's been the left tackle. He's been like, oh man, a holding call in 77. I wonder what he did. He choke slammed somebody. Like somebody got put on their ass because he didn't care for it. Biggest dude I've ever seen with a 6-pack, and Dallas is like, oh, we don't care. You can go. He wanted to come back, but
Mike, how about you? What one word?
Relieved, because I kind of knew that the season was what it was going to be. Now they definitely weren't going, for an all-in title, and it was more of we have good enough pieces that they develop well to be contenders, but we're gonna hope instead of make certain we're contenders. We're gonna hope certain players develop well enough to become contenders. So I was okay. I was relieved he can go on and try to win a title for real.
Yeah, I like that word, Mike, for sure. For me, I just was sad, man. You hate to see him go. He's been the left tackle for so long, even though he hasn't played a full season in quite some time. It was nice to see him have a good year. Like not practicing seemed to be the trick to keep him healthy. I was hoping we could bring him back. We didn't, but yeah, I was just sad, man. But I don't know how close the Jets are to winning anything. So I don't know how this last year of his career, if it is his last year, is going to go. But we'll see what happens, man. I'm rooting for Tyron for sure.
They're about an O-line and a quarterback away. They got the defense, they got the weapons, they got the running back. They need O-line and they need Rodgers.
Yeah. All right, here we are with top 5 tonight. And top 5 is favorite cops. It can be a real-life cop. It can be a cop from a movie, a TV show, a video game, or a book. I'm excited for this category tonight, guys. I don't know. I can't wait to see y'all's list. Mike, start us off with number 5.
Every black person that was watching just left. Favorite cops. They're like, okay, we can leave this top 5 right here. I can guarantee you all of mine are fictional or TV and movie cops. Martin Riggs, Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson. So now all the Jewish people that were watching are also left.
Mike is going to get us canceled tonight. He's doing his best to get us canceled tonight, Brenden. Be prepared.
We were doing so well. This is the most viewers we've ever had, and this is how we go out.
when I was making the list and doing research and stuff, I'm like, man, I think I can probably guess 3 of 5 cops that are going to be on Mike's list just based on the characters and the movies and shows and everything. Brenden, number 5 on your list.
Joe Swanson. He tackles people down while he's on a wheelchair. He flies with that thing.
Family Guy.
That's it.
And this is all a fake story, he beat the hell out of the Grinch because that's how he got paralyzed, because he fell off a roof fighting the Grinch. That's legendary performance right there.
Yes, sir. So number 5, man, this was the hardest one for me to pick on my list. There are 2, in my opinion, iconic cops. I still haven't, number 5 is still blank, man. I think I'm just going to go with the movie I prefer more. I'm going to go with Johnny Utah from Point Break.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was deciding between
Keanu Reeves or the new one.
Keanu Reeves for sure. Come on, man.
Yeah,
I haven't even seen the new one.
I knew.
Yeah, I figured. How is the new one? I mean, if all people have seen it, you probably have. So how was the new Point Break? Or the new
Just watch Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, for sure. I figured as much. Number 4 on my list. I don't know, Mike, if you were a TGIF kind of guy, but Carl Winslow from Family Matters.
I love that show.
That's a good one.
Great one. That's elite.
Also
played a cop in Die Hard.
Die Hard, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Brenden, number 4 on your list.
This is the only real cop I have. Well, he's not a cop anymore, but he was. Ronnie Coleman. Imagine seeing that jacked man get out here. He's like, you just have a speeding ticket. He says, hey, we're going to charge you with this. You just say yes. You're going to do whatever. I did whatever you said I did.
You know what's crazy is I knew a person who was security at my high school, a really jacked African-American guy named Ron. His name was Ron. And I used to tell him he could land a plane on his back. That's crazy that there's that another like security cop, Ron, same name, and is super jacked.
Dude, seeing pictures of him in his police uniform, it didn't fit. Like, it just didn't fit. And that's just terrifying.
I did not even think about security guards, man. I could have added not just one, but a duo to my list. Oh, well. Mike, number 4 on your list.
John McClane. If I was going to have it, when I was younger, I was going to name my son McClane John Crum. He would probably be higher on this list, but it's been a while since those movies, and the next 3 people are a little more recent. But John McClane is elite, diehard. He dominates.
I thought he was going to be number 1 for sure on your list. All right, Mike, number 3.
Number 3 is Raymond Holt. Rest in peace.
Good one.
Yeah.
Love Raymond Holt. He was probably the most uniquely funny character I ever seen on TV. The way he deadpanned everything, his calmness, the way they wrote him, and the way the late Andre Brower performed it was perfection. So, yeah, Holt belonged. And typically, I think McClane would be higher than him, but Andre Brower just passed away. It's like, from his love.
Got to show some respect. All right, Brenden, number 3 on your list, sir.
Commissioner James Gordon, DC/Batman. Him in the Dark Knight series, of course, he's kicked ass everywhere, but he was played so well in the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm blanking on the actor's name.
Gary Oldman.
Yes, and he's just awesome. And of course, he's just basically like Batman's right-hand man or the inside man, however you want to call it. And he's just awesome.
Did either one of you guys watch the series Gotham?
I watched the bits and pieces when I was younger, but I didn't get to finish it until Netflix just said, "Hey, we're good," and just took it off.
I really like James Gordon in that show.
Yeah, me too. And the girl from Deadpool. That's
a good show, man. Really, really good show.
That's dream wifey material.
Gordon's a badass.
He is. Yeah. All right, number 3 on my list, Lieutenant Dangle, Reno 911.
Yes, good one.
Had to add some humor on here. Man, another show that made me laugh out loud. I haven't watched the new versions on Peacock or anything, but the old school ones. Seeing Nick Swartzen on there, like before he made it big time, it was funny. But yeah, that actor is funny in everything that he does.
He is. He's brilliant.
Yeah. Number 2 on my list, it was between him and Captain Holt, but I went with Mr. Charles Boyle, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
That's another good one.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is being represented highly on this show. I love that.
Dude, Boyle was hilarious. He had so many laugh out loud moments from him and Captain Holt for sure.
That's brilliant.
All right, Brenden, number 2 on your list, sir.
Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop.
He should have been on my list.
I thought he would be on your list, Mike. I thought
he should have been on my list.
Eddie Murphy is just peak. It's just like the first 2 you could go wrong. The others we don't talk about those, but
I even enjoyed 3. It wasn't as good or even close, but I even enjoyed it because Eddie Murphy is like an all-time of mine. Executive Decision, that is my 5 over Martin Riggs. No offense to, I love Riggs, but Axel Foley's got to be on there. And his new show where he's playing Foley is coming to Netflix this year. I think it's in June.
I just thought of another duo of cops that didn't make it to my list, and I can't believe it. Mike, number 2 on your list.
Number 2 on my list is Jake Peralta, keeping up with the
My gosh.
I typically don't do 2 from one show, but I was rushed today, which is why I forgot Foley and everything. But, I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, other than the Chappelle Show, is probably the funniest show. Yeah, I would put it just above Married with Children. It's top 3 ever. My funniest shows ever. Chappelle Show and then Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's absolutely brilliant, and I love oh my God, Andy Samberg. Wow, I forgot his name for a second. He's one of my favorite musicians with Lonely Island and comedy actors.
Did we skip your number 3? I'm sorry, I'm just realizing. Did we skip your number 3?
No, Holt was 3.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So mine's 1 now, right?
Yeah, wait, 1.
Yeah,
It'll go to
number
me,
1.
and then you finish it, Paul.
So my 1 is Vic Mackey. Anybody that watches this show knows that it's my favorite show of all time. He's probably the greatest character TV's ever created. I just think he's brilliant. He's everything. So Vic Mack, my fantasy football team is almost always, I have one called the Farmington Vic Mackeys. So I love that character. I think Michael Chiklis plays the best character on TV of all time.
I for sure thought you were going to have Leslie Nielsen's character from Lethal, Naked Gun.
Should have been. To be fair, it's the last thing I did was the top 5. I had finished an article and everything, and I kind of came up. I would never do 2 from the same show. Y'all know that.
Exactly, yeah.
So my 5 honestly probably would have been Vic Mackey, John McClane, Jake Peralta, Leslie Nielsen's character in Naked Gun, whose name's escaping me, Enrico Palazzo, and that's the umpire he fakes to be. And then Axel Foley would actually be my 5 if I had the time and went through and thought and everything. I apologize.
Yeah. Brenden, number 1 on your list.
It's number 1 because y'all said private investigators could be. And this is something I've grown up with. Like my family goes to Hawaii. It's Thomas Magnum from Magnum PI. Like Tom Selleck is phenomenal. The Ferrari is iconic.
You're too young to know who that is. I'm proud of you.
I've grown up with everything 80s.
I'm proud of you for that.
Lucky guy, man. Lucky guy.
And also, you can't beat the mustache, dude. Like, are you joking?
My hair not looking gray. Looks like
I can't believe none of us had RoboCop on our list. I almost had him at number 5.
That's
especially you being an 80s baby, Brenden. I thought you might sneak it in there.
I thought about it. I didn't when I watched it when I was younger. I didn't think about it too much. I thought about these other characters a lot more. I just put Joe Swanson on there for the memes. But
I would have Riggs above RoboCop, so he wouldn't make my top 5.
Okay, who would you have picked out of Johnny Utah or RoboCop?
RoboCop.
Yeah. See, I had a hard decision. Yeah, number 1 on my list, I'm going with, this is recency bias for sure, Adrian Monk.
Oh, great one.
Love Monk. Monk is such a fantastic, amazing show. My wife and I are watching it right now. It's hilarious. Actor. It's clever. It's so good.
Yeah, Tony Shalom. He's genius.
Yeah, he's also, what's that, the show on Hulu with the girl comedian?
Oh, man, I should know. See, I know him from Wings and 13 Ghosts more. And, oh my God. Yeah, on Prime. I love, like, one of my favorite shows, Marvelous Miss Maisel.
There you go. Yeah, the dad.
Brilliant show.
So good. And another one, man, I can't believe you, Mike, or myself didn't have either Mike Lowry or Martin Lawrence's character from Bad Boys, dude.
That's fair. I don't think I would get him ahead of Riggs, though. I mean, Riggs was the original. But you could legitimately do a top 10 cops easily. For sure. Well, man, I enjoyed this discussion tonight, boys. It was nice to get back into it, man. I'm glad to be back to the show, take over the host chair again. I missed last week's episode. I missed recording with you guys. All our non-white viewers, give us your top 5 cops. You'll love it. Before Mike gets us canceled, Brenden, where can we find you on Twitter, sir?
Well, I don't know how much longer you can find me on Twitter, but for now, you can find me at Brenden_Smith26.
Mike, where can people send you hateful DMs?
Send your Jewish people. Send your top 5.
Oh, Lord of mercy!
Hey, we're good. We're done.
You don't want the top 5 Mel Gibson movies for Jewish people? Okay, well, that's CD Piglet, guys. I hopefully will be here next week. I don't know now. Oh, my goodness. Me and Brenden will be here. Mike probably won't. Guys, you can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We had a record tonight for viewers, 123. We appreciate all of
125.
You.
We're ending with 125.
125. I love y'all, man.
That's insane.